Be nice to me, okay? You gotta be nice to me.
Where is she? Where is she, John? What did you do with her, you piece of shit?
So the Cassandra buddy troll arc is finally paid off. People were like whining and crying about the goblin being happy for Christmas or having like an ounce of hope that this was real on Christmas Day. But now it's finally paid off. So what happened was Cassandra and the goblin decided to meet up at the Summit Mall, or like a mall near Akron, Ohio, to meet face to face. But fortunately, a hero came to save the day.
Okay, I just made it. I'm getting out. I can't wait to see you.
You can hear it in the clip. That voice, or the "come here, bitch," sounds familiar. And I'm not going to point any fingers. But I think the Goblin Boy should humble himself, because I think he could probably fit like 4 of him in the trunk of a car. But what happened was, Cyraxx was dropped off at Marlin's stand, and it was sent this clip while he was looking for her, which led to Cyraxx freaking out, causing a scene, begging a cop for cash. But first I'd like to go over the "where is she" clip before I explain the Goblin's poor experience alone in Malingrad. Because the Goblin explains being left alone at a mall as a 35-year-old man, like a 90-year-old wheelchair-bound, dementia-ridden veteran recounting their experiences in Stalingrad or D-Day, with like 15 times the amount of fear they'd like usually have. It's insane.
You gotta be nice to me, okay? You gotta be nice to me.
Where is she? Where is she, John? What did you do with her, you piece of shit? Where is she? Where is my wife? Where is she, John? Tell me where she is!
She's in the closet.
What closet?
My
Where?
closet.
Where?
Miami. Idiot. Duh.
I'm coming after you, bitch, and I'm killing you. I'm coming after you.
Chance. I thought 2025 was your year.
I just want to clarify, YouTube, this isn't real. This is a massive skit. Ruse. These are all paid actors. Please don't take this video down. But yeah, Cassandra was spawn camped, and now, the Goblin is extremely furious. He's recreating the Arkham Knight Batman interrogation scene. He's punching his desk. He probably pushed Sally down the stairs again. I can't believe the Goblin is still threatening to kill people hours after saying he almost died at the mall, and that being stranded at the mall was the most brutal challenge of his entire life. I'm gonna say that again. Being left at the mall was the most brutal challenge of his entire 35-year life. You need to see the video for yourself, because every time you think the Goblin can't get any worse, the stylist can't get any deeper, he can't shit himself on live stream and run to his grandma anymore, he somehow pulls the stylus out and digs even deeper and gets more pathetic. The Goblin is has the intelligence, worse actually, he's dumber than Chris Chan. Alright, and he has the reality comprehension of him as well. You need to see this shit.
These last 24 hours to 48 hours have been some of the worst of my life. And it was a massive wake-up call. First, my Xbox gets destroyed, which was nothing. But these last 24 hours were a serious fucking wake-up call. Because 24 hours ago, the trolls tried to kill me. They tried to leave me stranded and tried to leave me for dead. And it was nothing short of terrifying.
It gets only more insane from here, and I mean it. You're genuinely going to believe this is a 101-year-old World War I veteran who's deep in dementia or psychosis, confusing the local mall with the trenches in like some PTSD flashback. And as it keeps going, just keep in mind, remember, he was brought to the mall via Southern Harlot and just left there, stranded. Like, that's it.
You know, I know you're watching this, Cassandra. I know you're watching this. Because I know that you're with John and them. And I know now that you have always been working with them. And I just have one thing to ask. Why? Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them? Was it for money? Clout? What was the reason?
Small rant, but his narcissism slash delusion prevents him from realizing how much of a sub 3 he looks and that he's hopeless in everything, especially relationships. He looks like really hideous for one, and it'd be one thing if he was just kind of ugly, but he looks deformed. His shoulders look like they were hit with a sledgehammer. His teeth are covered in this gray ichor from not brushing, and his jaw is forced open constantly. He looks like an Outlast Trials X-Pop, and he's as gross as one too. What woman is gonna want a man who has his grandma put infection cream on his dick? What woman is gonna love a man who can't even leave his attic unsupervised with his grandmommy without it being considered a near-death experience for him? He's this penniless bum who mooches off his grandma in his bedbug-ridden attic, and he expects a normal woman to find him and love him. He's delusional.
Yesterday, I was supposed to meet Cassandra at the mall. And we were supposed to come back here to celebrate New Year's. You know, she was going to drive up there and meet me up there. And we were going to drive back here. Well, when I got there, she wasn't there. And I was left stranded. No money. No ride back home. Phone was dead.
In the middle of his rant, he just looks down, stares at the ground, and starts scratching at his scalp. He frequently does these long pauses in his rants where he just looks around because his Windows 95 brain is thinking about what to say next. And I really do, I'll admit it, I really do want to look at his brain when he eventually passes on the streets, because he's comparing getting dropped off at the mall, which is a 35-minute drive or 15-minute drive, to being left in the middle of the woods or like the Siberian tundra with nothing, like not like naked and afraid. He's so regarded as a 35-year-old man, he couldn't even charge his phone. He doesn't have like the brain capacity to prepare for anything. He couldn't even try and like scrunch up some money from like begging Sally. He was probably gonna try and like bum toys off her like or V-Bucks. And speaking of bumming, this reminds me of the time where Cyraxx stole Sally's credit card to buy V-Bucks when she was in the like hospital overnight for a mini stroke, and tried to say the trolls like hacked her bank account. Like the goblin's a bum.
And so I went to a kiosk to charge my phone. And At the time, I was told that Cassandra was kidnapped by one of John's guys. And let me tell you, when that happened, that terrified me when I got the news. My stomach fucking sank. I was scared. I was terrified. No way home. And so I went looking for help. And when I went looking for help, I remembered that there was a little motel that I had stayed at when we first moved here to Ohio, right across the street from the Highland Square Mall, which is where I was at. So I went over there. I went to go over there. And I slid down this massive hill, lost my phone. And as I was going over there, I seen a police officer. And thankfully, that cop helped me out. He gave me $5 to get back to the bus station so I can get home. And to that officer out there, that if you're watching this, sir, I don't know if you know who I am, but if you by some miracle see this, thank you for helping me.
Imagine being a cop and seeing the Goblin of Akron like waddle over to you to try and beg for some money, and like as he's talking, this like smell hits you. You see like a roach crawl out of his mouth as he explains like he fell down this hill,
Whoa!
lost his phone, how his wife got kidnapped by a man named like William Glory Hole. And as he's talking, all you can like focus on are these like weird blisters that you have to like look at that like are like bright red and like look like pepperonis. I still find it crazy that the Goblin didn't think to charge his phone or bring any money. He didn't bring any cash. And, you know, like, if anything, this shows how, like, he acts. If this, like, is to show how he acts without Sally or for a few hours, imagine when Sally passes away, like, he's genuinely gonna die within, like, 3 days. He's incompetent at anything he does. In my opinion, Sally's got to be, like, top 5 worst lol cop parents of all time. Because, like, she never, like, at least, you know, Chris Chan's parents, like, you know, Bob tried to teach the Goblin discipline or how to prepare for shit. But, like, whenever, she's fucked up and, like, never tried to, like, teach him discipline or anything. So when she inevitably passes, he has no way of staying alive. So the homeless arc's gonna be, like, 3 to 2 weeks maximum before he dies.
But on my way back to the station, I met 2 of the most amazing people that I can never, ever thank enough. I met 2 people that were longtime fans that saw what happened, that saw what was going on, and began looking for me. They were making their way out to the Highland Square Mall to try to look for me. And I didn't know it. And the way I know this is I got on the bus and I sat down. And this woman approached me and asked me if I was the person that the trolls were talking about that was being homeless. Because she wasn't very familiar with who I was, but she was familiar with the troll community. And she asked if I used to go by the name Cyraxx. And I was like, yeah. And so she pulled up the name on YouTube and saw that it was me. Her husband just happened to be sitting a couple rows back. And so he came up and joined us. And I'm not going to say their names, because I don't want their names out there like that. But to that couple that helped me get home, that kept an eye on me to make sure I get back home, I can't repay you guys enough. I can't thank you guys enough for helping me to get home to my family, to get home to my friends. Because when I was on my way back, I had no phone, no money.
How would they possibly know what mall you're like meeting up at? Alright, I'll give enough grace to say that they're like saw the John kidnapping post, but if they saw that, then you know they must be subscribed to John, and then they must know about the child predator stuff and probably like a lot of the Cyraxx lore. Like the only way they'd have been able to see the kidnapping post if they like have notifications on John's channel. So that just shoots down the goblin story of these being like fans. And like he even brings up like how she looks up his name on YouTube. But if you search up his name on YouTube, all you see are these like critique videos about his like most embarrassing stories and about how he like sent dick pics to like 14-year-olds and how he like lives in filth and how he constantly screams death threats to like every person that slightly irks him. Like searching him up at all wouldn't like grant any good results.
I was essentially left for dead. I was left to die in the freezing cold, thinking that my fiance was being kidnapped. Scrambling to get back home, I was scared. And anybody that knows me, like my little sister Mavis, and some of my closest friends in the world who know me know that I don't scare easily. But when I was alone, freezing in my hoodie, left alone in the freezing cold to die,
How would they possibly know what mall you're like meeting up at? Alright, I'll give enough grace to say that they're like saw the John kidnapping post, but if they saw that, then you know they must be subscribed to John, and then they must know about the child predator stuff and probably like a lot of the Cyraxx lore. Like the only way they'd have been able to see the kidnapping post if they like have notifications on John's channel. So that just shoots down the goblin story of these being like fans. And like he even brings up like how she looks up his name on YouTube. But if you search up his name on YouTube, all you see are these like critique videos about his like most embarrassing stories and about how he like sent dick pics to like 14-year-olds and how he like lives in filth and how he constantly screams death threats to like every person that slightly irks him. Like searching him up at all wouldn't like grant any good results.
which is this right here, which I will always carry with me at all times. This one was passed down in his family from his father to him and his father before. From his grandfather, his great-grandfather to his father. This was passed down from generation to generation in his family. And he gave this to me because he said something to me that will always stick with me. He looked at me and said, you know, most people would not survive half the fucking shit that you've been through, Chance. The fact that you survived all these years and just faced death and stared it in the face and still stood strong in the face of death when you should have died in that freezing cold weather. You survived. You are a fucking warrior. So he gave this to me as a show of my strength. of what I've been through.
Imbalance inside me chemically up, down, up, This nigga has no face!
I just, oh my god, dude. Like, he shows off this Temu necklace he probably had to steal Sally's credit card for. And now he's saying someone's great-great-grandfather passed it down like 4 generations just to give it to some regard who is like scared of them all, who then like self-glazes himself, you know, saying most people would have like perished if they were him. Like, what would kill you? Like the prolonged, you know, like weeks for not showering, the bed bugs, the anal tearing that his aunt talked about that assumedly Jake caused, like the filth, mold, and rats climbing around. Like, the trolls never put his life in like immediate danger. Like, I'm so late on this Cyraxx stuff. This is where the video ends because there's just so much I need to cover.